Hey, welcome in. Yes, okay. I didn't copy the stream key. I was like, I think this is the last channel I used OBS for. And it was. So, welcome in, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever, whenever. Is this it? Hello? Because, hold it. Yeah, I guess it is. Um, so today I'm using the Energy Oracle cards. And then I got the Witch's Tarot on deck just in case. If I need some clarification or something like that. It's interesting. So I've been there we go. There we go. Oh goodness. So I've been like I said, like I woke up October 1st. Things were moving, things were changing. And it's like, okay, all that stuff that was on pause for like a hot second, yeah, it's time to hit play on that. And I was like, what? It's time to hit play. That changes up everything because there are some things that I had literally just convinced myself that I wouldn't have to do, but now I gotta do them because I gotta do everything else at once. um, and so last night I did go to bed, sort of like kind of thinking, like, hey, like I'm gonna need something to come through here pretty quickly. And so I got an email about half an hour ago, well, maybe like 40 minutes ago now, and sometimes it's like the divine is like, you were asking, like, you came to us with a question. You're asking us for a solution. Here's a solution. And I'm up here like, yeah, but I don't know if I want that solution. so, so, yeah. Shout out to the divine for answering prayers. I just need to make sure, I follow through. My follow through is not that great, honestly. Or typically, my follow through wasn't that great. And I went to the bathroom before I came live after thinking about that email. And I'm like, it reminds me of this one time. The reason why I chose to go to the university that I went to is because they have a lot of co op program opportunities where you can go to school and work. And I was like, oh, like work. I can work the summers to pay for school in between semesters. I never did that. And my first year, my GPA wasn't good enough. And so in my third semester, I worked not super hard, but I did intentionally, like, one of the goals I had for that third semester was to make my GPA high enough to get into the co op program. And I did it. And I got the letter. And then I never showed up because it played on some different anxieties that I had and kind of have. Less so have now, a lot more so had then. And so I never did it. Like, I worked to get my GPA up and everything, and I didn't even take the opportunity. And I'm thinking, like, wow, because if I would have taken the opportunity then, I would have worked already through some of the things that I'm working through now. Oh, the sun is the card that's coming out today. That's interesting. With the door to romance at the bottom of the deck. Okay. Let's talk about romance and the light that it brings, I guess. But yeah, it's like if I would have done it then, I would have already worked through some of the stuff that I'm about to start working through more experientially now. And by that, I mean like actually going through the experience of it and not like living life in that way and not just like, oh, like theoretically, I've done all of my shadow work, I've done all of my healing, right? It's like, okay, well, now it's time to like live the life that you've prepared yourself for in the doing of that work. Um, and again, it's not like I regret not doing it or taking the opportunity the first time, but it is just speaking of potentialities, right? Because I could not take opportunities now and end up in the exact same position. And does that mean it wasn't meant for me? Like, no, not necessarily. It's free will. Free will, choice, free will and choice, paths, pathways, path working. Is path working a thing? I could consider myself a path worker in some aspects. But it's like if we delay that, then it just because the realm of potentialities is so vast, it just like it eliminates some potentials, but then it introduces other potentials. No matter when you make it there, right? And there's always something to be gained. And I wouldn't be where I am right now. I wouldn't have met all the amazing people that I've met um, post whatever I was supposed to have done if I did it the first time. And there's something really beautiful about the space that I'm in right now. So, I don't have to necessarily go that far as to be like, man, I wish I would have done it the first time. Let me grab a water. Also, I just bought water yesterday. I kept going to the store, worried about remembering bagels, but I forgot to get water. There were a few days I didn't have any water. Oh my gosh. Also, I weighed myself yesterday, and I'm the lightest I've been in over a decade. By just listening to my body. So I know I gripe about it sometimes and I complain, but can't argue with the results, I guess. And it's just because, like, mentally and emotionally, there's a lot of stuff that I was holding on to for a long time that I've released. And when I started releasing that stuff, like, I started losing weight. I was just naturally inclined to be a little healthier in activity, physical activity, and in diet. To not like, because in the past, I would like sometimes eat until I was like, my stomach was literally about to explode. But now I can feel the sensation of full without like, being about to like seconds from throwing up. Um, And is it disappointing, if I come across some food that I really, really, really like, and my body is like, we're not doing that overstuffing thing that we used to do, and I'm like, but the food is so good. I told y'all, gluttony is one of the ones she's on her way out. Well, she's pretty much out the door, but sometimes I do just miss like really being able to go to town on some good food, but it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, we have the sun and the door to romance. Now, the sun is all about light. So this is going to be light filtered in through the doorway of romance, and contract is behind door to romance. Contract being behind door to romance to me gives me this energy of like there's this greater contract that we have when it comes to partnerships. And this greater contract is a list of relationship types that we go through. We go through this relationship type to learn this lesson. We go through this relationship type to learn a different lesson, and this relationship type to learn a third lesson. And once all of these types, and it's not even necessarily types, right? They're just things that we need to learn before we can get to a more fulfilling relationship. And those things that we need to learn more often than not are things associated with like traumas and triggers that we have. Or just like thought patterns that don't actually serve us in relationships and fulfilling relationships, or in the type of relationship that will open up that sector of potentiality related to partnership in that means and in that way, right? And sometimes it could even be like partnership in general. It ain't even necessarily always got to be romantic. Now, this is like romantically focused specifically because the door to romance is here. But, there's not a door to platonic. Well, there's caring connections. So I guess I'll take that back. um, but yeah, it's like this larger contract of the things that we need to learn before we get there. And so we keep attracting these situations or not until we learn everything that we need to learn. And once we've learned everything that we've needed to learn, those sort of prerequisites and those obligations are fulfilled, and then we get the reward at the bottom of the contract, right? And it's like the contract is the release of this thing. but we only get the release of the thing when we fulfill all the terms and conditions of the contract. And so there can be these smaller contracts within that greater contract that we come into, right? And sometimes if we void a contract before we've learned the lesson, we come into another experience that teaches us that same thing. Now, with us being in Libra season right now, talking about contracts, the judicial system, I already shuffled this up before I went live. So what I'm going to do is we're going to look around both temperance and justice, starting with the King of Wands, the Nine of Wands, and the Sun. Do 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 do. I love this because the nine of wands in this deck, she ain't wounded, she ain't weary, she ain't even tired. She can go all day. Look at her. King of Wands, Nine of Wands, and the Sun. To me, it feels like it's take. Oh goodness, who this? 765. I'm sure they'll call back. I should have answered that. It's fine. I'm sure they'll call back though, or they'll leave a message. I should have just let it go to the thing. They'll leave a message. People who call and don't leave messages, like this one woman, she was like, I kept calling, I ain't get. Girl, you call, first of all, you call unlisted. Why didn't you leave a message? I'm sorry. Anyway, it feels like so this king isn't necessarily used to not getting what he wants, but this is something that the king has to fight for. And it's something that is worth fighting for. And this king knows that it's worth fighting for. And it's like in the fighting for of this thing, I think it's actually going to get this King of Wands energy a lot closer to Emperor status. Because he's going to pick up some earthly qualities and some airy ones. And the earth and air that he's going to pick up, it's just sort of inherent to him. Because I feel like fire energy, if it's not immediately satisfied, it can kind of sort of burn out fairly quickly. But with the King of Wands continuing to go after this thing, like it's going to give him that stamina that is associated with earth energy. And it also gives him the opportunity to sort of get into the like more strategy and planning, just like seeing things from a different perspective, right? As he goes about it. So it's quite a worthy pursuit, or holy pursuit, I'd even say, kind of. Oh well, and then there's the King of Cups, the last king that he wasn't, the King of Cups. Then he becomes that emperor. Oh yeah. So I guess the King of Cups. Well, let's just get the third one because I read in threes. Yeah, the King of Cups, the Two of Cups in the world. So this King of Cups is going to be the last thing that he needs to integrate. And he integrates the King of Cups when it comes to the sun energy because he realizes that without that water energy, the connection wouldn't be stabilized. This is something that it's more than a one-time fix for this King of Wands. And since it's more than a one-time fix, again, going into that stamina and that staying power from the King of Pentacles, but also coming into this space of reciprocity. It's the energy of reciprocity. It's like to keep this thing, it's going to require a fair exchange of fluids, a free flowing exchange of fluids. And it's this, like this is what's really going to complete everything and turn him into that emperor. Two of Pentacles, the Chariot, and the Ace of Pentacles, followed by the Tower. So yeah. See, I don't have time to just go through this all day long. Who was that? Wait, I might have needed to answer that call. That could be somebody with another opportunity. Oh, calm now. I thought that was an email. I thought that was my email noise. Y'all better leave a message. Please leave a message. Girl, if they call back, I'm answering the call. I'll just mute it. It's fine. It'll come back. But with the Two of Pentacles, the Chariot, and the Ace of Pentacles, followed by the Tower, that's finally making a decision. And that can be, I think it's a good tower and a bad tower. And it's the bad tower part isn't bad. It's just, it's the falling away of all of that excess ego, right? Because to go from the King of Wands to the Emperor after that completion, it puts the ego in balance with other things instead of being primarily driven by that ego. So this, especially into this, like, because this is where we are now. We're sort of in this in between state with the Two of Pentacles, and it's like to really pursue the one, the excess ego is going to have to fall away. And like, even if you started with the King of Swords, right? So let's say that you're extra analytical, then the excess analyzation is going to fall away. If you start with the King of Pentacles energy, the excess, what is it? It's with the King of Pentacles energy, it's like this need to be seen as the provider in order to be validated within yourself. That's going to fall away. And if it's the King of Cups, then it's not being overly emotional, but it may be an over prioritization of emotions to the point where it's like, all we need is love and blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, but also we need somewhere to live, we need food to eat, we need more than just love. At the very least, we also need communication with that King of Swords energy, right? So this is like, the good is that it's going to open up a brand new chapter. Like, this is going to be us going fully into that realm of potentiality, higher potentiality. But it's going to require us to sacrifice some of the things that kept us from it in the first place as we get it. And that's the bad part. I don't think it's necessarily like terrible. So there's the King of Swords, Wheel of Fortune, Ten of Pentacles. I'm not looking at all these because I ain't trying to be here all day. And I can be. Okay. So here's Justice. Justice is giving us the Page of Cups and the Star. I love this. So I think with the Ten of Swords before it, this is Gemini energy. I was going to say Aquarian. So this is Water, Libra, and Aquarius. That's interesting because Moon in Libra and Moon... No. What was it yesterday? Yeah. First Moon in Aquarius came out. It was yesterday or the day before. It was like, first it was about Moon in Aquarius. And I was talking about how the new moon, the full moon in Aquarius, was the first time this year where we started a zodiac season with the full moon, because we had two new moons in Cancer, and that second new moon in Cancer beat out the new moon in Leo. So we had to wait all the way until Aquarius when the sun was in Leo. And now we're starting zodiac seasons with full moons instead of new moons. And then the moon in Libra came out. Now, I don't remember which card those are. That's where the moon is the decan ruler of Aquarius, and then the moon being the decan ruler of Libra. But with this Page of Cups, I feel like we were in this sort of Page 2.0 space before. And just being in that Page 2.0 space is that moment of realization. Like, it's all of this, right? Kind of sort of realizing that if we want something different, we're going to kind of sort of have to be different. It was a space for us to evolve and grow into. Let's see. Now we're looking for Temperance. And here we go. Ooh, goodness. Yeah. And this is what I've been saying as well. So with Temperance, we have Death, Temperance, and the Eight of Wands. Temperance, it's not just about waiting. Temperance is about transformation. Temperance is about alchemy. But Temperance transformation it's less of a transformation forced upon us by the environment, right? And then here's the shadow side right there. And then after shadow side was that death energy. So maybe there were toxic tendencies in the past. Um, Either toxic tendencies or toxic ways of viewing certain things. We didn't allow for situations to be anything besides what we had experienced them to be, which is why we had to come into this Page of Cups space to be open to experiencing connection in a brand new way, in a way that we hadn't before. But we were already sort of established in what we were already believing connectivity to be, because that's all we had ever experienced about it, right? Or that's the only experience we had of it, so it's all we knew for it to be. Sitting probably in a King of Cups energy, honestly, King of Cups 1.0. But then we got elevated into the Page of Cups 2.0 again to step into this higher realm of potentiality, of healthier relationships, and talking about those contracts. We were fulfilling the status, we were fulfilling the requirements to be granted the reward that is that healthier relationship. And again, with the star, it's like as we were going through this process, as these pages 2.0 of reanalyzing how we look at relationship and connectivity, it's like as we began to see more and more about what wasn't necessarily the case before, or what wasn't necessarily, because like she's primarily orange, right? And then there's a little bit of green coming at the top, and so it was very like sacrally based in the past, but now it's going to be heart based. And sacrally based doesn't just have to be sex, it can be also what sort of you have to gain out of a relationship, right? Be that financial status, social status, something like that. It's sort of feeding into us in a way that we can create the life that we want. But we're not creating the life that we want in a heart based emotional way. It's more like either physical, I mean, it's all physical, right? Either that physical interaction and the act of intercourse, um, it being like if it's about money, then like what we can do with that money. If it's about status, then how we're sort of viewed with that status. But now it's like the heart through the trimming and through the shawl looking thing, or this cape. The heart is coming to be more and more of a key factor. And as we allow that heart to be more and more of a key factor, as we kind of sort of see the limitations of relationship in the past, it opens us up to this healing with the star card. And at the same time, it opens us up to the healing with the star card, going down to the energy of temperance. It puts us in a position to attract into our lives these truly for us relationships. And once we go through this transformation, it accelerates everything. Because again, temperance isn't about waiting. Temperance is about transformation. It's about alchemizing, it's about healing, it's about putting the past into perspective and making the choice and decision to go beyond the shadow side energy, right? Because there's the light. And the thing I love, I just noticed it one day, and we've already seen all these cards. Here it is. And then also here. The thing that I love about the shadow side is that we see this moment of choice. We see this one light, and on one side we have the sun looking in one direction, and the other side is the shadow side, blocking us basically from going in the direction of the sun. And both of them are lights. And if we're used to darkness, then the light behind the shadow side could look like daylight if we don't know any better. And then we have this chariot energy here, which is all about putting both sides into perspective, aligning these two energies to get us to make, it's like truly informed decisions. right? If you only know one side, then it's hard to say that you're doing anything informed, right? And again, like the other side is the shadow side. So it ain't necessarily to buy into whatever the shadow side is trying to sell you, but a lot of times shadow side energy will twist the truth because it is light, but it's like filtered light, it's manipulated light. It's not pure light, it's light with a film in front of it to project the image that it wants to project. But in order for it to be effective, more often than not, well, there is an element of truth to it, or this element of projected truth that it's trying to get you to. And then if we pull out that chariot, it leaves us with the Two of Pentacles into the Ace of Pentacles, doesn't it? Let's see. I forgot. Yeah, it leads us from the Two of Pentacles into that Ace of Pentacles because the chariot was between, right? So that's going from this space of balancing light and dark within us more consciously to this space where it's not necessarily a struggle, but it is something that we have to continuously choose. Like we have to continuously choose our healing. We have to continuously choose to not see everything as that shadow side energy in the past. But once we sort of get that under control within ourselves, it eliminates that and we get this one pinnacle world. And again, once this transformation has happened, that's when things pick up. It isn't necessarily, oh, if you wait long enough, eventually it'll come in, because then you'll be waiting forever. It's like, why are you waiting? What are the terms and conditions of this contract? Is time a condition of this contract? Or is evolution a condition of this contract? Because if it is time, then yeah, like you have to wait a little bit and there are other things for you to focus on and kind of sort of do. But if evolution is the condition, then there are things that you need to master, things that you need to learn before you come into these healthier relationships. Like there are some of these healthier relationships you can't come into with all this baggage of the past. But as you heal, you gain more clarity. More and more and more clarity as you heal. It makes this page 2.0 less and less foolish to the point where we can turn into a knight 2.0 and we can move forward with this new understanding of what relationships and connectivity are supposed to be with this higher on this higher sort of frequency. And as we move in that night, then we reestablish ourselves as kings and queens in this new way, not in the way that everything had to be before. And at the bottom of the deck is the Five of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, and the Six of Wands, with the Fool sitting right behind it. There's Oscar, by the way. Hold up, y'all see that? That's Oscar. Oscar don't look exactly like that, but the Six of Wands and the Queen of Swords are looking in different directions. And to me, it does, like that tower moment I was talking about. It speaks of sacrificing everything that we kind of sort of had victory in the past, right? But it was always this hollow victory. It's like, yeah, you won, congratulations. What did you win? Another night alone? Another relationship that didn't work out? Another example of why you can't trust anybody? Like, are you really winning anything? And I feel like that Queen of Swords knows that in order to come into this rebalanced energy, there is going to be this period of standing outside, kind of sort of alone, waiting for the world to bring you this new energy that you're attracting into your life. And some people would rather stay in situations where they're not alone and miserable than they would be to liberate themselves from those situations and to make themselves available for true partnership. And again, partnership in every aspect of the way, like familial partnership, platonic partnership, romantic partnership, even business partnership. And but that's like the light of the sun that's trying to break right now, right? Like there's this pool of water here, there's this lady standing in the middle of this pool of water here with some notices on it. We see this like gnarled tree looking thing off to the right, which gives me vibes of that Five of Pentacles. And then the sun with the face shining above. Like this is what the divine is trying to guide us towards. See that little tree right there? And then like, well, if you take off the pentacles, this tree right here, like don't they look fairly similar? Hold up. I'll do this. There we go. Maybe not. But it's like the sun is above purifying all this water. But we have to, again, be open to actually healing and actually evolving and actually growing. And that's another thing about temperance, right? Here's the 13, 14, 15 right here. Death, temperance, and the shadow side. It's only through the space of transformation do we begin to re-alchemize things from shadow to light. And once we've taken enough power out of the shadow, it opens us up to these towers that are actually constructive, right? Because now we see the light coming in at that tower. It's light that is striking away at the darkness, but it can't do that if the darkness is overly weighted, and then we come into the star energy followed by the moon and the sun. And again, with the door of romance lying at the bottom of this, it doesn't just have to be romantic relationships. To me, it's just feeling like the element of connection in general, an element of what a healthy relationship is. And with romance being the focus here, it's time to come into things that are a lot healthier than what we were used to or what we've been through in the past. Cutting to the Three of Swords and the Six of Cups, right? I feel like that's the energy of kind of sort of cherry picking the best out of these bad situations that happened in the past. And instead of us taking the bad, or instead of us taking the good from the past and using that as examples of what we want to get more of into the future, it's like we look at the good in the past and use that to justify bad that we're experiencing in the present. It's like, oh, like it's not all bad, like, you know. And it is this energy, like the thing about the Six of Cups, it's like upright, it's nostalgia, in reverse, it's trauma. Either way, we're not getting a complete picture of what was. Either we're focusing primarily on the good stuff, or we're focusing primarily on the bad stuff. But with the energy of justice and temperance, we need to look at both. Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands. How many times am I going to see the Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands together? They keep coming out. They keep coming out together. First, it was on the new channel 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, the Demiurge and the Sharpshooter. Then they came out yesterday at the bottom of the deck behind the Knight of Swords. It was the Five of Swords into the Ten of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Four of Wands, the Eight of Wands, the World card, and some other stuff. The Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands keep coming out together. And I guess we know now it's because that death and that transformation has happened. Or it will be because of that. With the Door to Romance at the bottom of the deck. Wait. Final message from the Witch's Tarot, please. Wow, they really didn't leave a message! Please call me back. They'll call back if it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, it'll be. They'll call back, baby, if it's meant to be. Eight of Cups. With the moon at the bottom of the deck. There's that moon. So we left at the moon, right? We went from death to the star. Here's the sun. Here's the moon. Now, in this Eight of Cups, there's a moon. What is that? I think that's a waning crescent moon. I think this is a waning crescent moon. I'm not sure. It's either waxing or waning. We have the waning. It doesn't matter if it's waxing or waning. We have a crescent moon. that is like what, a fifth, maybe a sixth illuminated, and then we have these 8 radiant, fully lit stars. Right? And then we have the 8 of Cups here, because it's the 8 of Cups. And that moon, it is giving me more of that. Well, here's the moon right here, and it's the exact same phase with the Knight of Wands behind the moon. But I think the thing is that, like, we don't only have moons anymore. We also have stars. And the moon is good. When the moon is big and full, then we can see a little bit more if there's no light pollution. But stars are what actually guide us where we want to go, right? And so with this 8 of Cups, we have the stars to guide us, and we have this crescent moon that is providing some illumination, but not everything. And it's like it's not enough, depending on your relationship with spirit is. It's not enough to trust the path that you're being led down. And so since you can't trust it, it's keeping you basically running the same circles. Right? That's what happens when we 8 of Cups into another 7 of Cups situation that we're going to have to 8 of Cups from again. Instead of maybe sometimes there is that little bit of a 9 of Cups period. And the 9 of Cups could be, that single energy. But the 9 of Cups could also just be realizing and recognizing what it is that you actually want. And when I say that you actually want, like, without all the trauma, without all the baggage. Because it's like with the Star card, we're making wishes in the dark. But when we're making wishes in the dark, we have, like, that's our perspective. And so it's like, if you're starving and you're just like, I want something to eat, like, I wish for something to eat. And then someone, like, you find, like, when Squidward was fiending for Krabby Patties, and he was like, what do I have to do? Eat one out of the trash? And then someone threw, like, a waxing gibbous Krabby Patty in the garbage. And Squidward was like, okay, I'll eat it out the trash. And he ate all of the trash around the Krabby Patty. And the Krabby Patty was literally the only thing at the bottom of the trash can. And it's like, in order to prevent that from happening, we start to experience those lights around the moon and the moon. So we get more stars, we get more clarity, but we also get the moon there. And the moon is the perspective of our own lives, right? And so when it comes to the 9 of Cups, when that wish is fulfilled, or when that wish is in the space of being granted, we have to be able to recognize that this is a more divinely granted wish. And I say that because I feel like a shadow side granted wish, like, shadow side will give you what you ask for, even if it doesn't align to your highest good. And you're going to have to pay for it either way. Shadow side is going to charge you full price plus interest and inflation. They're gonna inflate it constantly. And you may get something that you think you want, just to realize that you don't actually want it, and you still have to pay full price for it. But I feel like with the divine, it's like the divine gives you the thing that you actually want, but you have to be in a space to recognize that that's the fulfillment of what it is that you were asking for. Because what you actually want might not be the thing that you thought that you wanted, and you may not know why your wish is being fulfilled in this way. But that's the danger about asking or trying to manifest a person. because we don't know all sides of a person, and you could be manifesting the side of the person that you see, but they could have a whole, like, that was a waning crescent moon. That moon is about to go new. You see a little bit of light in this individual, you think it's whatever, and then when that moon goes new and you see all the darkness within them, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I wish for? Sometimes we have to learn lessons in those areas, but I feel like we're coming out of that time where it's like, they say rejection is God's protection. Sometimes we don't know why we don't get certain opportunities, but maybe it would have actually put us in a position where we're worse off than what we started with, or we're worse off than how we started. But again, who is this? Broken heart and rest and rejuvenate. No, broken heart and blossoming abundance. This reminds me of the saying, nature abhors a vacuum. And so if your heart is broken, the universe outside of the system of love, just like the universe itself, pours into empty spaces. And so it will try to pour into yours. But you have to be in a space to accept it. And again, that's the Nine of Cups. It's the actual, it's like the fulfillment of that wish, but in a way that leads you to a legitimate Ten of Cups. Sometimes we take things, like I said, we take these like more shadow side granted opportunities that lead us back to the Seven of Cups, and then we got an Eight of Cups again. And if we 7 and 8 enough, then we're like, oh, everyone's the same, blah, blah, blah. But maybe you're continuing to manifest and attract from the same space. Unhealed, issues unresolved, traumas and triggers still running rampant, keeping you blind to the things that are actually for you. Maybe even keeping you rejecting the things that are for you and accepting the things that are not. Bottom of the deck is Storm Warning. And the cards that came out, Action and Cornucopia! Let's go! Action and Cornucopia. This is 17, which is that star, and 11, which is Justice. Hey, look at that. We get 11 and 17 coming out again. That's just little minor confirmation to me that, me picking up those cards are for a reason. And then we have number 10, Storm Warning. It's an energy of, like I said, with that tower, it's like as you go for the new things, it puts to bed the old things. And it puts you in this space to receive everything. Because it's like that higher aspected, higher vibrational, higher resonating relationship with that door to romance and the sun energy. It's a part of this greater potential. That's one of the things in this cornucopia unlimited sort of balance. And cornucopia is a ram's horn, right? And the ram, it could honestly be Aries or Capricorn. Because at least in my world, I'm like, sometimes a ram is like a big horned goat. Sometimes a ram is a big horned sheep. You know what I mean? It's got big horns. Is it a goat or a sheep? Aries is just the ram, but Capricorn is like a sea goat, right? So there's an element of emotion there, whereas Aries is just like all on the land. And I feel like the element of emotion in its purest sense is a cooperation with the divine. And that's why Capricorn is associated with the energy of establishing foundations instead of Aries. Because Aries is like more action, but less alignment. Capricorn brings that alignment into action, and it builds things that are again aligned. And it's like the more aligned the thing is, the longer it can stand. And it's not that Aries isn't capable of building foundation, but that's not what Aries is for. Aries is the first step, first 2 steps, first 3 steps, first 5 steps, right? Aries crawls so Capricorn can soar and build skyscrapers. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long I'll be saying it, but the time to act is now. And again, we see the light horse and the dark horse. They're both free. They're both free, but running in the same direction. They no longer require the charioteer to get them on the same page because they've done their work and they've aligned themselves to go in the same direction. And them going in the same them, it's blossoming abundance. It's the whole gosh darn cornucopia when we don't need the chariot to get us on the right path. When we're just aligned that way. Free to roam about this brand new field of potentiality. I love it. And then here's the storm warning, which is that that tower energy again. It's like the portal to Oz, right? In the space of something that was destructive, the tornado, the twister, Dorothy ends up in Oz, which is this magical place. And she lands in this magical place with the ability, basically, to go home whenever she wants. But it takes her the whole journey to realize that she started with the ability to be in the place and position that she wanted to be in. But again, it's like you have to fulfill this contract before you get the reward that's obligated to you. Because this is where we end up with these free roaming horses. No charioteer, not even tied to each other. Nothing connecting them besides whatever's connecting them. Right? Nothing physical. We don't see anything physically tying these two horses together. And if they got all that field, right? Like limitless directionality they could go in, but they choose to go in the same direction. That's why you got to learn the stuff that you learn, because when you come into spaces like this, when you step into the power of your choice, there's nothing forcing you. Just like before you step into the power of your choice, there's nothing forcing you to continue down this pathway. Nothing. You can step away, you can step outside, you can do whatever whenever you want to. Nothing is keeping you bound. This is beautiful. I want to pick, just see like what's in the middle. Right here. The Magician in the Mirror. Hey, I'm actually going to read this card. This came out for pile 1 the other day. It did. It came out for pile 1 the other day. And the Magician in the Mirror is number 58. 58. It's number 53, which reduces to an 8. I believe this is the last card in the thing as well. Oh, look, and it's 1234. Look at that. 1234. 1234. Can y'all see that? 1234. Hey. Everything's just lining up so beautifully. So beautifully. This is why it's so hard, though. This is why Spirit has been taking the back seat. This is why we're driving our own lives, because once you step into these, it's like once there's nothing that keeps you aligned. And if there's nothing that keeps you aligned in this space, I don't know. I don't have to keep repeating it. Went right to the thinking man. Let's see. 53, 53. Magician in the Mirror. This is knowing and using your true power. Ooh. Interesting that message would come out, right? This is page 169. If that means anything. That's a 7. That's a 16-7. And 16 is that shadow side. But 7 is a spiritual number. 16 is the tower. 16 is the tower. And 7 is a spiritual number. So the tower, again, it's putting us in a place to look at the gears behind the clock face. It strikes the clock face so we can see how the gears are enmeshed with one another, and how when one gear moves, it's connected to another gear that moves, and it gives us like this behind the scenes look at the mechanism beyond the illusion that shadow side energy casts. Right? Because we have the angel in temperance, and then we immediately have the devil to come and cast illusion on that light. But with the energy of the tower, it breaks through the illusion of the devil to see the angel's light. But we have the choice to accept it or not. We have the freedom of perspective, freedom of choice, freedom of will, and freedom of perspective. And we get to choose what perspective we look at. We get to choose if we buy into someone else's perspective or to tap into the power of our own will and see the more divine will that sort of lies behind everything. This card upright represents the culmination of your personal and spiritual power at this time. In the magician's left hand is the flame of passion and action. Action, and his right hand is a vortex of water and the light of reflection. This highly beneficial card is telling you that you are the magician, and within your grasp are the amazing forces of earth and spirit. The water is the energy of yin, the power of spirit and clarity of thought. The flame is the energy of yang, bringing direction and creativity. Together, they give you the magnificent magic of transformation. The mirror stands beside the magician, reflecting the outer world's response to your choice. To your choice. Your CHOICE choice. The outer world's response to your choice. Sorry, I had to emphasize that. And I lost my place when I did it. The mirror stands beside the magician, reflecting the outer world's response to your choice to use or dismiss the true power that you have. Its silver reflection reveals the future in a mist on the horizon, ready to be magically formed. When you receive the magician upright, you are put on notice that an important and powerful time is at hand. You are the alchemist of your life, and just as an alchemist turns base metals into gold, you are now able to transform your difficulties into great blessings. This is true in every area of your life. Claim your power and embrace your intentions in your heart and in your daily life. Direct your destiny, and the mists of the future will clear into brilliant reality. The affirmation here is, I have all the power I need to create the destiny I desire. Magic happens when I live in consciousness and my eternal truth. Oh, snap. Bloomin' Rose. You're working? Well, I was literally about to go. I don't know how long Oh, Bloomin', you've been here for 2 full minutes. I'm sorry, girl. Oh, there's my mouse. I hope you have a good day at work. That was like literally the end. Good stuff coming in. Good things coming in. We are aligned to bring good things into our own lives. I'll say that. We are aligning to bring amazing things into our own life through spaces of transformation and healing. So that's what I got. It was nice to see you, Bloomin'. I'll have to just like come on and have fun one of these days. I don't know. Sometimes I try, but then it just ends up being whatever. I'm boring, okay? I got a lot of Earth in my chart. I got 2 placements in Taurus, 2 placements in Capricorn. No fire besides my Venus. Anyway, I'll catch y'all later. I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make the good the best it can possibly be. Bye.